Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
It's Alex. It's the Ramble. Goes till midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States and all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown really is the ultimate Luddite. I mean, he still has Pony Express take his mail across the country. He doesn't like to use email. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Alex. You know, Jerry Seinfeld did the funniest bit about mailing a letter or a check. Just the way he described it. It's so funny how you write something out, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, walk down to a post office, and just the way he tells it.
What I used to say was, they just raised the price of a stamp 2 cents. It's now up to like 50 cents or something like that. I go, boy, what are they trying to do? Rob us blind? You know what? Just think of it. Think of what they have to do. For 50 cents, they come and you drop it in a mailbox, and they come and pick up your mail. Take it to a post office. They then sort it, put it in the right sorting. It gets in another truck, and they drive it out to the airport, where your letter is put on an airplane that is flown to the city that your letter is going to. Then they unload the letter. They take it to another sorting facility. They take it. That sorting facility then has a mail truck that takes it out to your post office, and then your post office comes and brings it to you personally. Wow, are they robbing us for 50 cents or what? You know. Is that essentially what he did with his bit?
Yeah. It's amazing that you would think that we're lucky we get 10% of our mail. It's not.
Yeah, well, I've been saying that for years, though. It's maybe the best bargain we have. I mean, imagine when it was like 3 cents or 5 cents or something.
I think it was 4 cents when I was a kid.
Look at what they had to do with your mail. I mean, what a great service, you know. Yeah. And it still is. But, I mean, now we send stuff, well, you wouldn't know this, by email, and it gets to people really fast.
I've done email.
Well, I know you read email because I send you one every time we're going to do one of these things.
Yes.
But why do you resist, Larry? What is it? Do you feel you're going to lose your reputation?
No, I don't. I think I was thinking about that the other night. I've literally been thinking about high-speed internet for years now, and I don't think I want somebody from Xfinity coming into my house. That's the only reason I can figure.
Really?
Yeah. Although I should get a smartphone. But
well, look, you know, if you want to avoid having high speed in your house, then get a phone, like an iPhone, and you're hooked up to the internet with that, you know, and you can use that.
That might be the easiest way to do it.
I mean, that way you're using the system, which now is 5G and very fast. And you could do all of that, you know, and you can send email on that. But like I send you email, how do you get it?
I get it here on my old dial-up.
Yeah, you dial it up, and then how long does it take for the letter to come down?
Yeah, boy, sometimes it can take like 2 minutes for the letter to open.
Yeah, if it's got artwork in it, it probably takes really forever.
Then you go make a sandwich.
Well, don't you think, Larry? You're the well, actually, you said that there's a statistic about the number of people who don't have high-speed internet connections in their home.
3 million in America, and they say, I believe it or not, 50,000 in San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a small amount if you think about it, because how big is San Francisco? You know.
Well, it's like 700,000 people, so it'd be 1 in
14.
1 in 3.5. So
1 in 3.5 or something. Anyway, it really is like it's time for you to, you know, do your thing. You know, or don't you want it?
No, I want it. It's just sitting there waiting for things to open up is just, and I can't. It'd be nice to see video,
Yeah, that'd be nice. That would be very nice. But I mean, the thing is that there's a whole world out there waiting for you.
But I'll be dead soon, so it doesn't matter.
You're going to be so amazed by all the wonderful things that happen once you have the internet, because now you can get, I don't know, people sending you spam.
You know what everyone says to me about you got to get high speed. You know what the number one reason is? Porn.
Porn, exactly.
Someone told me the internet would collapse if it weren't for porn.
It's photographs at the speed of jerking. It's what is it when we think that the best thing that the internet has given us is porn?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't get certain things. See, I mean, you're kind of devoid of having things like Netflix. Like if you had Netflix, you'd never leave the house.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there, and I'm getting to like HBO Max is really good. Which, do you have HBO in your home?
No.
No. Oh, God, why'd I even ask?
HBO. I thought HBO wasn't any good anymore.
No, they started this HBO Max, and it's got a lot of stuff on it. But I don't know why I even ask you those questions. I know what the answer is going to be.
But I remember the first computer, I think it was the first year I started stand-up, 81. That was when the first PC came out, am I correct? Was IBM had one? Or?
Well, I got my first computer in about maybe, what year did you say?
I thought they came out in 81, and there was a big fanfare about it, and they kind of flopped because nobody had any use for them except small businesses said they were good for inventory.
I bought mine, I think, in like my first one in about 83, 84. And what it was, my business manager and I know what I got. The first computer I ever had was an Atari.
That was it, yeah.
Atari came out with a computer with a keyboard that basically was meant to play games, but much more sophisticated games that had been done before, okay? And they included a keyboard, and you could use it as a computer. You could actually put programs in there like VisiCalc and so on. And I got a couple of bootleg programs and was playing around with it. And I showed it to my business manager, and I showed him the spreadsheet, and he had never seen anything like it before. And he started playing with it because he intrinsically knew how to use a spreadsheet because he used to do them all by hand, right? Mm-hmm. And using a calculator to add up the rows of numbers. So he kind of figured out how to do it, and he put up a row of numbers in there, and then at the bottom he did a little thing that told him add it up, and then he put in all the numbers, and they're all added up at the bottom. He goes, where do we buy one of these? I said, well, this is kind of like a toy because it only had like 40 characters across the screen. I said, but IBM makes a beautiful one. And both of us went out and bought IBMs. And we thought we were living large because we got them with 2 floppy disk drives, these big paper floppy disks. And then later on, we actually had a hard drive put in. It only held about 20 megabytes or something like that. But that was us getting into computers. And that was pretty early. I mean, anybody out there, when did you get your first computer? It was probably 10 years later, So, I was out there in advance. And I loved all this technology. You know me. You remember me.
You were always on top of that.
Oh, yeah. I remember I used to I got a portable computer. And I brought it into the studio and used it in the studio. And the management told me, don't use that computer while you're on the air. Well, now you go into any studio in America, and there are nothing but computers there. You're doing everything on a computer screen. So, I mean, and And I finally told them, well, no, I'm going to use the computer because, quite frankly, I need it for the show, and you can gripe all you want. I'm going to use it. And now, of course, if I told them they resisted me using a computer, they go, why do we do that? So, but in spite of all of that, I've kind of become a Luddite because even though the technology is terrific, I do a show here every night, and I've got to, everything's got to be working right? And things break down constantly. Like sometimes 10 minutes before I'm supposed to go on the air, the computer will suddenly decide to crash or do something. And I'm going, there's got to be something better than what they've created here. We should have, our technology should have advanced enough that these things are crash proof. But they're not.
Should be, yeah,
they're not. And then you hear about the Russians and the Chinese coming in and hacking everybody, and you go, well, how good a system did you actually create here? So you're lucky that you have nothing. That you're not wired into this because there's nothing to go down on you except a woman.
That's even less likely.
And even now, that's a little more difficult than it used to be. Do you have a girlfriend? I never asked you this.
I do not, no.
No. Well, and you're not gay?
No, not that I know of.
Not that you know of.
Love the women, although I think it's hard to meet women during a pandemic. So
it's very hard. Very hard. Well, it's not hard. It's difficult. Okay. But, in fact, it's funny. I was thinking about this. I may do this the next time with you. I don't know if we have enough time left to do it now. But when I had comedians on, they came fully formed as comedians, right? Larry Brown was doing jokes, and Stephen Kravitz was doing jokes, and Stephen Pearl was doing jokes, and Bobby Slayton was doing jokes. But I never asked any of you, how did you come to this? Where were you born? What did you do? What brought you to being a comedian? Other than, you could have been anything. You could have been a railroad conductor. Anything you wanted to be. And yet you chose to get up on a stage and tell jokes. And how that all came about.
Yeah.
And what in you made you this is the most, let's face it, it's the most nebulous profession you can possibly think of. Next to radio announcer.
Right.
Well, you could ask me, why'd you decide to go into broadcasting? And
I remember I asked you once, I said I thought stand-up comedy was probably the lowest rung of the entertainment ladder. And you said, no, radio is, because at least in show business they can actually see you.
Radio is the lowest, I think it's one of the lowest forms of show business, but there are lower forms like selling my pillows on television.
I think radio is such a great medium, though.
Yeah. Well, here's what's the lowest form of show business? Perry Kurtz. Now that's a joke that you get, and I get, but the audience doesn't know who. Just if you have a chance, folks, go to YouTube, look up Perry Kurtz, and you will see maybe, I think, ostensibly the worst comedian we've ever known, isn't he?
Really? I think there's worse.
Really?
He's still around.
I know he's still around. This was a guy who went on, what, Love Connection?
Love Connection, yeah.
Yeah, and then what he would do for 10 minutes of his act is show you the videotape of him on Love Connection. That was part of his act. People are expecting a guy to come out and make some observational comedy or whatever, and he's showing a videotape.
Or he's multimedia.
He's multimedia. Yes, maybe he was ahead of his time, and I just didn't know it. I hope he's not listening to this show. Well, actually, I hope he is. Do you think Perry Kurtz knows how bad he is as a comedian?
He's. I don't know.
You've known bad comedians, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they don't know how bad they are. In fact, a lot of them think they're better than they really are.
Well, the one thing I've noticed in this business was people that are really bad never know it, and people that are really good are usually the most insecure ones.
You know, that you're absolutely correct. I mean, you're an insecure comedian,
Very insecure.
right?
Yes.
I think you've always had a certain insecurity about yourself, as well you should, because, you know, you're pathetic. But you know what I'm saying? There's something about a good comedian that is just tortured. And there's something about bad comedians where nothing phases them. You know?
No, the really great comics I saw many of them were when I started out. They were almost afraid to get up on stage, and the really bad ones couldn't wait to get on stage.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, people probably are sitting there scratching their head at what we're saying here, you know, but it's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, you're terribly insecure. Every comedian I've known who's any good has certain insecurities. Was that funny enough? Was I good enough on stage? And the bad ones would come off and say, I killed.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, why do we use terms like that about audiences? Oh, I killed them.
I think there's a lot of violence in humor. I think that's you got the punchline. I killed. I slayed. I destroyed. It's like a war up there.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you this, okay? Do you feel that when you're up there on stage, we'll go over time here. It doesn't matter. All I have to do is talk to the other people. That you have that now what was I going to say? When you get off stage, do you feel that when you're on stage you're at war with the audience in some respect?
I always feel like when you start out, it's going okay. I always feel like nervous because I feel like I'm always on the verge of losing them.
Yeah. You never do.
But
though.
I did.
When
I started out, I did think, when I watched comedy, I thought, wow, it looked like a battle up there. And I did think, wow, it's us against the audience. And then when I started in San Francisco at the Holy City Zoo, the audiences were actually very friendly and supportive. So that kind of surprised me. So it didn't feel like a battle then.
Do you think it was now the Holy City Zoo, folks, was what we call what kind? How can we describe what they did? It was
a club that was about the size of your basement.
But yeah, I mean the audience was almost on stage with you,
literally on top of you. You had tables like right up against the front of the stage.
Yeah, and it was a workout place. I mean, a comic would show up and they'd say, "Do you have any openings tonight?" And they'd say, "Yeah, let's put you on at midnight." And then you would go up and you would try material. You weren't expected to have the same professionalism as, say, you'd have to have it at one of the bigger clubs like the Punchline, right?
Yeah, you could do anything there.
Do anything, try anything, try and kill, as it were. And it was like a gymnasium for comedians, if that makes any kind of sense to people. And they really, I mean, that club, you go there, see some amazing people. You can see some terrible comedy, too. But the audiences, I think, there were with you because they knew you were trying new material. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you'd start out as an open micer. So that's where I felt, the audience was very supportive.
Whereas if you went to the Punchline, those audiences just wound up paying like $15 to get in, which was a lot of money in those days. And they got their arms folded saying, "Make me laugh, motherfucker."
Yeah, and that's when you felt like you're at war down there in a room like that.
Yeah. So did it probably scared you more to play the Punchline or one of those venues?
You didn't. I was really afraid to go. I remember the first time I did the Zoo for months when I first started out, and one night I did the other cafe, and I was so freaked out about doing a different room.
Yeah.
You remember the other cafe? So.
Yeah, right. So I mean, the life of a comedian, everybody thinks it's really easy. That guy just goes up on stage and says funny things, and that takes to get 30 minutes of material. Is what you need if you're going to be a headliner. 45 minutes of material?
45. Yeah, it takes forever.
How long did it take you to get your first 45 minutes worth of
I think
material?
I did my first 40-minute set. I was probably 4 years into it.
And what you got?
And it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't good. It was 40 minutes, but it wasn't like tight, great set.
Yeah. Well, would you agree with me? Not every minute of your set has to be killer. Here we go.
No, although I feel like it should be, because I get nervous when it's not killing.
Well, yeah, but you got to
learn to pace yourself.
No, but you got to build in dead spots, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
You know, you go to some material which is not as taxing on people, because get people to laugh for 45 minutes. Think about that.
Yeah, it's not feasible.
It's not feasible. So what you do is you then create dead spots, and then you come back and then hit them at the end with all the really funny stuff.
Yeah, and I saw, who was great at that was Kevin Pollak. He'd start out strong, and he'd kind of go up and down for a while, and then he'd always have a huge, strong finish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you know you know who did that also? The Marx Brothers with their films. What's his name? The Thalberg, Irving Thalberg, brought them over to MGM. And they had successful films, mildly successful films. I mean, when we think of the Marx Brothers, Duck Soup is the greatest movie practically ever made that was a comedy, and yet that thing did not do great business. So when they came to MGM, he then did like A Night at the Opera, A Day at the Races, and what he would do is they would do their comedy, but then they would put in the middle of the film, they would put an operatic singing number or something like that, and it would literally was meant to just kill the pace for just a while, so people could then come back to the comedy and start laughing again, because it's a lot of work to laugh. And that's essentially, I think, was one of that was the most successful film they ever had, for exactly that reason, is that they created this pacing. I mean, you always wonder when you watch that film, why are they suddenly stopping all the comedy to do an operatic number? Well, the reason was they wanted a comedy killer, something to just give people a rest.
Yeah, in action film, you can't have things blowing up for 90 minutes. You gotta.
Yeah. You got to have somebody kiss somebody or something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's something I think is lost on some directors. I watch some movies. This guy, Zack Snyder, has re-edited Justice League. I don't know if you know about any of that crap. But it's been rejiggered and re-edited to 4 hours.
Jesus.
And it's all action. And I'm going, are you out of your fucking mind? I mean, who can watch that without getting exhausted?
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, listen, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Larry.
You too, as we will go into the wonderful world of show.
Yeah, wonderful world of show. But next time when I talk to you, I want to find more about the young Larry Bubbles Brown.
Oh, I can tell you why. Yeah,
and how you went from an embryo to a comedian. Somewhere along the line, there has to have been a glitch in your life.
There was. And you'll learn about it.
Okay, we'll find that out next time. Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Alex.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much. Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have him on again next week. I love Larry. I say that every time, how much I love Larry, and I just think the world of him. He's been an old friend for so long now, and has been supportive of me, and I hope I've been somewhat supportive of him as well. Anyway, I think it's time for us to go to our people here, as we admit them all to our little program, as they all come popping in, as you can see them popping in there. There's Vernon Nunn tonight, and there's Jeffrey, and there's Brian, and there's Charlie Wallace, there's Trucker Steve, and then there's me.
Wearing his sign tonight.
What?
Charlie's wearing his sign tonight.
Charlie, what?
Sorry.
What about my signs?
He's wearing his sign tonight.
Oh, I see. Let's see here. Let me see here. Sarcasm. Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah, because one of the signs is sarcasm.
Yeah. It's good. It's very good. Nice to pick up on that, Brian. You're astute, as it were.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, man. Well, it's another one of those days of just my eyes burning all day long because of the pollen is out there now. And it's getting thick out there, and I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible. But does anybody? Nobody takes this stuff, do they? Wait a minute, hold on a second. Where is it? Here it is. This stuff, Flonase, or this is the Kirkland version of it, and it doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to. Am I right, Jeff? You've tried it, right?
Right. It's good for you.
Yeah.
When you put it in, and then you got to somehow get rid of it.
It just doesn't.
It's annoying.
It doesn't. It doesn't seem to. It used to work for me, but it doesn't anymore. So I don't know what the story is on that yet. But anyway, and on top of that, I've gotten this rash up here. You can't see it because I put makeup on tonight, so that I covered it. Oh, it was just. For some reason, my forehead has suddenly decided to have a rash on it. And it's not easy being in show business. You have to always look your best. Ha, ha, ha.
Why did you put makeup on your forehead when you're wearing a hat?
Yeah, you got a hat on.
No, but here. It was like, it was very, today I noticed it was very red, so I don't know what to do, If I show people here, wait a minute, hold on a second. If I just go to this, see, well, no, the makeup's covering it up pretty well. All right. Yeah. So, I can't complain about it. All right. Anyway, how you all doing tonight, huh?
Good.
Okay, you sound
Took a
excited.
big ride on my bicycle today.
Everybody sounds excited tonight. Good to hear that.
Single man tonight.
You're a single man tonight?
Yeah, Tiffany and Adrian went down to LA for the weekend. So.
Oh, really?
Woo-hoo!
Really?
We're gonna be like 11 o'clock tonight.
So you're gonna invite all your girlfriends over and everything?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, right. Right. That'd be looking like a gift horse in the mouth, for crying out loud.
The kids are happy because they're just playing games tonight.
Now, when your wife isn't there, and you get in bed, do you like? I immediately, when Marjorie isn't there, she gets up in the morning and she's gone. I immediately go diagonal in the bed, and I grab her pillow and sleep on it. Now, do you do that at all?
No, but it's just weird when she's not in bed. Yeah, it's just weird.
When she's not in bed with you. Well, you see, do you both go to bed about the same time?
We go into the bed. She goes in a little bit earlier, and then she's on her phone till like 1 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Well, you see, me, I get out of here by the time Jack posts his show, if I'm lucky, it's like 20 minutes past 1 New York time. She's been in bed since at least 9:30, right? I think we're going to be giving a concert tonight. Are we, by you, Trucker Steve? What have you got? You've got your guitar there, or what is that? Wait a minute. He froze. Now he froze on us. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's guitar, right? Or is it a bass? No, it's a guitar.
It's not my first guitar.
Oh, it's your first guitar, the first one you ever owned, or it's your first guitar and you're just learning how to play it?
I just bought it yesterday. It's my first one.
I see. But do you play the guitar?
Starting to learn.
Do you play the guitar? No. He's kind of breaking up on us. Do you play the guitar?
Uh, not before, no.
Oh, okay. So, in other words, you bought the
Yeah, I just
guitar,
bought it.
and now you're going to teach yourself how to play the guitar. Do you want me to tell you what most people do when they buy a guitar 'cause with the intention that they're going to learn how to play it? They fool around with it for about 2 days, and that's the last they use it. How many have had that experience here before? See?
Especially with kids.
You know. Do you play an instrument, Brian? Anybody here play an instrument? Okay. Okay.
I used to. How
You
about
used
that?
to. Yeah. And what was it?
Well, I played guitar,
Yeah.
and then I also learned how to play the bass, but I never used it.
You learned how to play the bass. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. But you never used it?
Nope,
You never had never were in a band or anything like that?
nope, not with the bass.
But you
I
just,
was in high school. We had a whole bunch of basses, and we could learn how to play. And if you're a guitar
yeah,
player,
but if you're
to
not,
play bass, it's not hard.
basses, I can see where you have a guitar and you have a lovely senorita next to you and you're singing and you're playing and whatever. But nobody drags out a bass to woo a woman.
No.
You know, they don't sit there going boom, 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 boom. You know, she's just going to go, "Hey, I'm going to go over to the guy who plays a guitar." So obviously, you weren't doing that to get laid.
Not in high school that I went to. There were no females.
Oh,
Just
really?
Yeah,
What happened? All the guys killed the females, or what was the story with that school?
it was we call it technical high school.
What? Oh, you know, well, today in a technical high school, you would have girls,
Yes,
Yeah.
but
But-
when
but in those days, girls just
Didn't
didn't
exist.
didn't do it. Right? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So, anybody else going to call us tonight? What is this? This is going to be it here? Because I've been tired as of late, and when there are a lot of people, then I don't have to work as hard. Of course, I can ask Josh for some kind of opinion about something, and we'll get a good 5 minutes out of him, right, Josh?
Sure.
Sure, sure. Have you? How do you think this thing in Georgia is going to cut the mustard when it comes to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll hold up very well.
I mean, you can't even. It is against the law now in Georgia, when people are waiting in line to vote, for you to give them water.
Right.
What was that all about? And then no voting after 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, if people are working, when do they get to vote?
Yeah, I mean, the states can choose to close their polls whenever, but I mean, like, if you're in line, you still get to vote. Did they change that, or I mean, like, if you're in line at 5, do you still get? I didn't.
It just says they close the polls at 5.
Because I mean, like in all the other states, it closes at 7 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're standing outside and you're in line and it's 7 p.m., you still vote. They just send someone out. My understanding is to like mark the end of the line or whatever, and then turn people away after
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it still works that way or if they tried to change that too. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be awful restrictive. I think they're going to be on their way to, probably finding out that this stuff is unreasonable,
Mhm.
and that they're going to get away with it for a short period of time,
Yeah.
and then and the easiest way to really teach them a lesson is for the people in Georgia to overcome it somehow in an election cycle. I mean, I agree that they shouldn't have to. I mean,
Hmm.
it's bullshit that they have to and all that,
Yeah.
but they are where they are now and they do have to. So they got to get it done, and then just don't wait 2 more years for the court to rule on this. Just get rid of these people.
Yeah.
Don't
So
just get rid of them. Fucking route them, I mean,
yeah.
hopefully.
Did they say what the reasoning was? I mean, did they think that people in line going to give you water, then you're going to vote for that person? You know, if they say something, vote for that.
Well, I think their reasoning for that there is just the fact that in the past, people in Georgia and other places have had to stand in line for hours at a time, and they don't have water or don't have food or get hungry or got to go to the restroom or whatever. It's just something else to make it where people say voting, that's too hard. Fuck that. I mean, I'm not going to do that. So then who will vote? Well, old white people who are retired and things of that nature. And those people, a lot of times, will vote for old white men who are Republicans.
Yeah.
Or old white women with a fucking broomstick up their
And if a
ass.
person's going to make the choice between voting and earning a living,
Right.
they're going to opt out for earning a living, if I'm not mistaken.
They can leave early from work.
Yeah.
They'll vote when they want, the time going late or whatever. Where other jobs, you don't have that flexibility.
And all of this was because the powers that be in Georgia felt that the election was stolen from them. What? How many times did you constantly re-add those votes and they all came out to exactly the same? Yes, Vernon.
To me, the most egregious part of the law was that the state legislature gave themselves the power to get rid of any board of election that they didn't agree with.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, so every county would have its own board of elections.
Right.
And if, let's say, if
that county went Democratic, then the state legislature could step in and appoint their own board of elections and recount the votes their own way.
I can't see how this would pass muster once it goes to the Supreme Court. I just don't, I can't see even a right-wing Supreme Court voting for that kind of stuff. But you never know,
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, you don't, but I mean, the thing about the court is, I mean, I don't think you can look at their members as like a traditional, Republican or Democrat. They have a judicial philosophy, and some of them are very conservative. But the thing is a very conservative judicial philosophy on certain issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think voting many times is one of them, and like criminal law, for example, is sometimes so conservative that it wraps itself around and almost comes into a good agreement with people on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you sometimes get decisions on issues where people, get big eyes when they look at it, but it doesn't necessarily surprise people who understand how the court does its business.
Yeah.
And interprets law. So,
right.
That's how you get these 7-2 decisions or whatever on things where you think, wow, so-and-so justice voted for that or whatever. But, I mean, I don't think they're going to be very successful with it because, it's pretty overtly obvious that their measures down there are not just suppression, they're a return to policies that, are stemmed in a racist tide from 75 years ago, 100 years ago even. So, I mean, hundreds of laws have been passed since that period of time, and they're flying in the face of pretty much all of them. I mean, they're going to have a terrible time with it. So I hope they get embarrassed, but I hope they just get routed in 2 years. And
there are how many other states now in the country that are trying to pass similar statutes?
Right.
Like 23 of them.
Yeah, so
dozens.
So let's say this one goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says you're full of crap. Do you think the other states will give up on that, or they'll all try to do it anyway?
Well, they'll probably give up because, I mean, if they do pass, they won't be able to pass any law at that point that will fly in the face of federal statutes. I mean, don't get me wrong. They'll change wording or certain things, and they'll keep trying, just like they do with like abortion regulations or gun laws or whatever, and it'll still be this constant battle. But I mean, look, it can be ended by people just making sure that these lawmakers are not, returned to office. So, if you're out there and you complain about these things rightly, and you're unhappy about them rightly, you have to work to make sure that these people are not allowed to hold power. I mean, because these philosophies are not steeped in any sort of democratic idea. I mean, they're hogwash ideas that are straight out of a Jim Crow playbook. I mean, and look, I just got back from Mississippi a few days ago. I messaged you when I was down there. I mean, I can tell you that in the corner of Tennessee and in northern Mississippi, the part of the Jim Crow era is still alive. I mean, you can still buy a Nathan Bedford Forrest little figurine in the visitor centers for certain Civil War battlefields. I mean, I sent Patrick a picture of it. I was like, hey, you want me to pick you one of these up? So I mean, he's glorified down there still yet today, and you still drive by houses. I mean, I'm on my way to Shiloh Battlefield where the Union won a victory, and I passed 4 or 5 houses within the last mile of the battlefield flying their Confederate flag. And, I mean, it's like, you didn't just lose here, you lost the entire war, and, they still have revived this lost cause idea. So, I mean, it's still alive. So I'm not surprised that these lawmakers down there did that. I just wish people would understand, like how important voting is, and people who say things like, well, I don't care who the president is, it doesn't really matter or whatever. Well, no, you got 4 years of Trump, and look, this is what they got you. I mean, if it weren't for him getting elected the last time, it would never have crossed the minds of these people in Georgia after their loss this time to start this. This is all part of his overall legacy, okay? This is all part of his, what he leaves behind. His trail and path of destruction is not over just because he's not in the White House any longer. In fact, he could be dead tomorrow, and his trail of destruction will continue for miles yet before it's over with and before you can repair the damage. So think about that next time you think it's too hard to vote or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
you just have to do it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing
Not too.
Well, wait a minute. Let Jeff and then Charlie.
I think that a lot of people don't give a shit, don't vote, regardless of who's voting.
Yeah.
And what the issues are. They don't give a shit. And I don't know in Georgia what the percentage is. I don't know at all.
Well, yeah, but they do have a right not to give a shit. But they also should have the right to vote if they want to, and without reservation. And I'm an old guy, okay, and if I have to stand in line for 2 hours to vote, which is the case sometimes in a lot of these places, I might want some water. I mean, I remember when we were waiting to vote this last year, we waited in line that took us about an hour and a quarter. And while we were in that line, there were people coming by offering us water, offering us donuts, some kind of sustenance to keep us going. And also, for a guy my age, where are the bathrooms? I mean, did they say you can't go to the bathroom? I don't think so. But who knows? And while you're in the bathroom, there's a sink there. Grab some water. So, I mean, it's just insane. Just insane. I mean, what are the Republicans are so afraid that people are going to be able to vote because they know there's not enough of them to win. And it's a question now of how the public reacts to the Democrats doing this to them. Are they going to be bothered by it? Yes, Vernon. Wait a minute, Charlie. Charlie had his hand up first.
Let Charlie go first.
Yeah. Excuse me, Charlie. I'm sorry.
The problem is it's not hard to vote in the white areas. There are white areas of Texas. You can go in and vote in 10 minutes every election. So they don't give a shit if you make it harder for somebody in a black area and they got to wait in line 5 hours to vote. They don't give a shit about that. They're going to go in and vote the Republicans in anyway. And unless you're willing to sit there and wait without any water, wait for 5 hours to vote, you're never going to get anybody in that's going to do anything
Well,
about it.
up until now, do you think the reason why Texas has always gone red is because blue isn't really allowed to vote as easily?
Definitely.
Okay.
You don't see these long lines in the red areas of Texas.
Right.
These districts that vote Republican, they do not have the hour or 2 hour lines to vote.
Yeah. Well, what's happening in Georgia is this governor who just signed this thing into law is up for re-election next year. And they say he's going to have a rough time of it, that he's going to have a real bad time of it. And plus, you got that Stacey, what's her name, Stacey Abrams down there. She's a firecracker. I mean, she just, you know, she knows how to get out the vote, you know. And believe me, she's going to do everything she can to make sure that guy isn't governor. And by the way, do you remember how he got to be governor?
He was Secretary of State, and he disallowed a bunch of votes.
And yes, he was in charge of the election. He was running
And he
for
purged-
office, and he
and he purged a bunch of votes.
400,000 votes, mostly blacks.
Why? How's a guy allowed to get away with that?
They couldn't until the Supreme Court ruled that we didn't need the Voting Rights Act anymore. That's when all this shit started.
Okay.
John Roberts said, "There's no more racism. We don't need to have the Voting Rights Act anymore." And the first thing every one of these states, including Texas, did was start
Well,
purging
are
the
we
voting again.
talking about racism here, or just denying the vote to people who want to vote Democratic?
Both.
You
Well,
know.
both because the people of color generally vote for Democrats.
Wow. Gee. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. You know.
Did you hear that Kemp signed that bill behind a closed door, and one of the black legislators from the state went to the door to knock on the door, and the state troopers arrested her and charged her with 2 felonies.
Yes.
There was not a black person in that room where he signed that bill.
And all she wanted to do was get in there to say something or whatever.
She just knocked on the
wasn't saying
door.
anything.
That's all she did, is knock on the door.
And they arrested her. And I saw it. I mean, it wasn't even like she was resisting the arrest, you know. But she wanted to. She was knocking on the door, and
they wouldn't say anything when she asked, "What am I being arrested for?" They wouldn't say a word.
Well, because they didn't
Just
have an answer.
Carried her away. They just carried her away.
Wow. What happened to her though? Eventually,
She went to jail.
she went to
And
jail.
and Raphael Warnock, the new senator,
Mhm.
went and visited her in jail that night. And Raphael Warnock was on talking about what's going on with the Congress, and people are saying, well, where do you stand on the filibuster? And he says, you're asking the wrong question. The question should not be, where do you stand on the filibuster? The question should be, are you for or against democracy?
Yes.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. You know, my friend Shecky today, I was talking with him, and he said, I honestly think this is the end of America as we know it. He says, this country isn't going to be around for very much longer. He said, we probably won't live to see that day, but we're not going to be doing it much. We're not going to have much of a country much longer.
My kids will.
You know, it's that bad. It's getting that bad. Hello, Alan. You're a little late tonight. What's up?
How's my microphone?
You're fine. Microphone's fine.
That's good.
So do you have an excuse?
Late from dinner. Sorry.
Late from dinner. Oh well. God forbid you should eat dinner instead of participating in this
I'm a bad
lost
boy.
cause. What?
Don't send me a Christmas card. I'm a bad boy.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Fine.
You actually started without me. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Oh well. I should have said. And I'm sorry. We're not going to talk to anybody till Alan's here.
There you
go. Man. Oh man. My eyes are just trash tonight. Oh. I don't know. It's been terrible lately. During the winter, when there's no pollen, my eyes are fine. And then all of a sudden the pollen hits and I'm in
Sounds
bad
like
shape.
you have allergies.
Well, I have an eye operation. I have to do something with
Oh.
the lids that will kind of prevent this from happening. But you know, it's just horrid, you know. And plus, I'm exhausted all the time lately. I think, how many of you out there, because of COVID, feel somewhat exhausted?
Mm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You get up, you're tired all day. And
Yeah.
you just go, why? You know, and then you realize you just, you know, I took a walk today. Well, walk. I went down to the drugstore to buy something for Marjorie, okay? Because she's still not feeling well, and it turns out it may be her neck that's actually out of whack a bit. So she had to get one of those collars. So I went into CVS to get a cervical collar. They don't carry them.
Wow.
You know, they're like a little $20 item. It's not like something, you know, you got to go to an orthopedic store to get. But anyway, so I walked down, I walked back, and so here I am. You know, and but I just, and also, I don't know about you guys, I'm getting awfully tired of wearing a mask and walking. It's drudgery. It really is. I know we've got to use it, and I'm not telling people not to wear a mask. But don't you think that in all of this that's been going on, that somebody would have come out with a better mask or something, you know, up the technology a bit?
I like my mask.
Huh?
I like my mask. It messes up my beard. Other than that, I'm okay with it.
Well, mine, you know, if you've got a beard, it's a little harder to wear a mask, right, Kev? You find it hard?
No.
What's that?
I said, do you find it hard to wear a mask because of the beard?
Oh yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Pain in the mouth.
And you don't get a full seal either.
No.
Because you've got a beard. So, you know, I mean, and you've got a beard too, Jeff. How about you?
Yeah.
Is it a?
I hate these masks.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
We hate them. They're necessary, right?
Yeah.
And we're not implying to anyone you shouldn't use one. But geez, they're a pain in the ass. I mean, I'll be glad when this part of it is over with. Now, let me show you something here tonight. See what this is? Can you guys see that? The audience can probably see it too.
It's a Blue Label, Bennett, something or other.
Sportsman.
Gotta
Now,
be easier if you'd hold it still.
well, this is let me tell you what it is. This is a proof of vaccination. And
Oh, on your phone.
if I bring this down, hold on a second. If I push on this, here it brings this up,
Oh.
which is you know, it's got a barcode up there. See that? See?
I just have a photo of my card.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but this is an actual thing that I went online and I put my name in and my date and the date that I got my second shot and a few other things. I know, but what I'm saying is
I don't know.
this is a barcode that will be accepted in airports and things like that.
Maybe.
It's the new model. It's called Excelsior for the
They
state
gave
of
me
New
that
York.
card, and I went to Staples, and they laminated it for free.
Yeah, I'm having mine laminated, but this is also proof that I've had the vaccination, because you have to go through the state database or whatever in order to get it to say to your. You download the app to say to the app, you're good to go. Yes, Vernon.
Have you seen where Krispy Kreme's is offering a free donut to anyone who brings their little card?
Yeah.
And you can do it every day if you want to, and you can go to any Krispy Kreme store. So you could go to this store and get a donut, go to the next store and get a donut.
Now,
It's
what
good.
happens when
All
every
over
Going on
the
next
wait a
trip
minute,
tomorrow.
how-
I'm eating donuts all day.
Yeah, but how long does this last? Because eventually
haven't said.
everybody in America is going to be, you know, is going to be vaccinated, and when that happens, they're going to lose money because nobody's going to pay for a goddamn donut.
Well, what they're saying they're doing it for is to encourage people to get vaccinated.
Vaccinated, yeah.
Okay, and once everybody gets vaccinated, to hell with you. We're back to where we were.
We'll never
Yeah,
get
and then
to
you'll
that
be
point.
addicted to their donuts.
That's right.
I see.
Exactly.
Ah,
And they know that if people are going to go in there, they're not just going to get a donut. They're going to buy a couple more or a dozen.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's like Taco Bell giving away a donut for every steal in the World Series, right?
Oh, really?
Did they do that?
Yeah, they did that.
They used to give away. What was it? Taco Bell used to give away tacos whenever the Rangers hit a home run.
Well, there's about a penny of meat in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And about 2
And it's
cents
not
worth
real
of
meat.
And 2 cents worth of taco.
It's okay.
Well, do you remember when I think it was it Jack in the Box had tacos, and it turned out the tacos were made from kangaroo meat that was shipped in from Australia?
Oh, no, that was somebody else. I don't know if that was.
Was that Taco Bell, maybe?
Nah.
I never heard
It
that.
was Jack
No,
in
they
the
were saying
Box.
that-
It was
that
Jack in the
McDonald's
Box.
had kangaroo meat in their.
No, but it was Jack in the
burgers, didn't
Box. Yeah, it was Jack in the Box. Yeah. And it turns out it wasn't true, but the meat was coming from Australia.
Yeah, well, whatever.
And who knows? You know, kangaroo meat may taste good. I remember when I was in Lillehammer for the Olympics, I used to go next door and they had these hamburgers. I bought like 2 or 3 of them a day because they were just delicious. They were incredible. I'm eating 3 of them at a time, and then my newswoman says, "Bring me 5 of them," and I bring her 5 of them. I mean, they were big, but they were delicious, most delicious hamburgers I've ever eaten. Turns out they were reindeer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had Sweden.
Buffalo's good.
Hmm?
Sweden. When I go to
Buffalo?
Sweden, we have
Buffalo?
reindeer.
What were you saying, Brian?
Oh, when we go to Sweden for work, they have a specialty place that have really good reindeer. Just tastes like regular meat, though.
They always say something that tastes like chicken. Well, then why not just serve me chicken? You know.
The tacos, 2 Jack in the Box tacos, 2 for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Gee, I used to eat those forever when I was 16. You know, first driving till.
Well, when I wasn't worried about my weight, my go-to food would be if I was in a mall, go to the Taco Bell, get some tacos, right? Then run over to Orange Julius and get an Orange Julius. Do they have those everywhere in the country? Or are they out of business now?
In New York, they had them.
But are they out of
Oh, they
business
have it
now?
in Texas. Yeah.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
still
they're in
they're still around in Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Didn't you go to what place is that the girls hopped on the thingy? You know,
That was what was it? It was hot dog on a stick.
Yeah.
Hot dog on a stick, and they'd have women wearing these very nice tops, and they would be jumping up and down, mixing the orange juice, and you just sit there. Lemonade. That's right. What it was. Yes, and we enjoyed watching them a great deal.
I'll bet you were there for 5 hours, Alex.
Well, you know, it was in a mall, and they had this place where you could just sit. You didn't have to buy anything, and I sat there for a while. Okay, so call me a bad guy, you know.
So Alex ate Bambi, huh? In a taco.
Well, no, we didn't eat
Bambi's not a
Bambi.
reindeer.
No, I ate Rudolph. I ate Rudolph.
Rudolph. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was good though. The reindeer was spectacular. But once I found out it was reindeer, I couldn't eat any more of them. You know. Well, because you get this attitude, it's reindeer, you know. And they say we've been eating it all along and enjoying
you
it.
ought to have peacock. That's even better.
Have you had peacock?
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. What do you eat, peacock or peahen? No.
The bird is called a peacock. It's got big feathers, and I don't know.
No. There is a peacock, which is the male.
Yeah.
And then there is a peahen, which is the female. Didn't you know that?
I didn't know that. How about that?
You wouldn't call a female pea a cock, right?
Yes.
Because a cock is a male fowl. Okay. The hen is a female hop. So you didn't know there was such a thing as a peahen?
Never heard that before.
Yeah.
Never heard it.
Haven't you seen now the NBC peacock is a peacock because they have the feathers that do that.
Yeah.
You know,
The male has the feathers. Yeah.
male has the feathers, but
So what does the female have?
babies, you know, chicks, and then
What's the
they're
name of that bird in Australia that's like the most dangerous bird in the world?
the emu.
Emu?
No. They're like an emu, but it's called a capybara bird or something like that.
Kookaburra?
What is it?
Kookaburra?
Something like that, yeah. They got like fucking claws that'll just kill you. Some guy in Florida imported one and it killed him.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, some of them are dangerous.
Just Google most dangerous bird in the world. It'll come up.
Boy, Australia's it's so beautiful. It's got 10 of the most deadly snakes, 10 of the most deadly spiders, the deadliest jellyfish, crocodiles, alligators. I don't know how that place is so beautiful and ends up with 10 of the worst things.
Yeah.
Well, it can be beautiful and deadly at the same time.
I mean, a friend of mine's kid used to raise tarantulas. Now, his kid's moved out now, but he has me come over and look at the new tarantula that he got.
Yeah.
And so I'm not into spiders. I don't like them, but in a glass enclosure, I'm fine. I go over and look at it, and I tap on the glass, and the damn thing stands up on its hind legs and I go, wow, that's really unusual. And my friend says, yeah, I've never seen a tarantula do that before. I Google it. It's the Brazilian wandering spider. The most deadly spider in the world.
Oh, so it wasn't a tarantula.
Oh, it was
because tarantulas.
It looked like one. It was a little, 8-legged furry thing.
Tarantulas, truth be known, are not dangerous.
Yeah, get bit by one, they hurt.
No.
Yeah, but you got to really work to get bit by one.
No, they're not dangerous, and they're quite docile, and they're not aggressive. And that's the reason why they use them in movies, because everybody goes, "Ooh, that's creepy," but you put them all over Indiana Jones's back, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Some of them here.
Some are more aggressive than others.
What were you going to say, Kevin?
I said they're all over the hills here in the springtime.
Yeah, we had them out in the hill country here. Yeah.
Yeah,
all over.
but it's not a particularly dangerous
But I mean,
spider.
the kid, had this stupid spider crawling all over his arm 15 minutes earlier before I got there.
Jeez.
And I'm like, where did you get this from? And I this is 5-6 years ago, and he says, oh, he got it online. It was Tarantulas R Us or something like that. He said, I don't know.
Really?
And and I said, tarantulas don't usually get up on their hind legs, but that's a trademark, looking at it, of the Brazilian wandering spider. And he's like, no. And so he put it, he put big leather gloves on, put it in this, and took it to UC Berkeley or something. And they said, yeah, you got a Brazilian wandering spider. How'd you ever get it in the country?
Yeah.
One bite of that is enough to kill like 10 adult males or females.
So where did he get it? Did he buy it at a local?
He bought it online, and somebody shipped him a Brazilian wandering spider from, I don't know, Brazil, I guess. They look like a little tarantula. They're
and they're cute. They just want. What do? They wander.
Silk Road, yeah. Well, it's just got a really deadly poison. They're actually studying the poison because I guess when you get bit by this thing, you get a really painful erection. And so they're studying the venom.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 minute.
Isn't that where they got Viagra from? Was some spider venom?
No. So what are they? They're looking at this as a possibility for impotence?
Erectile dysfunction, yeah.
So what you do is you go down to Brazil, get bitten by a wandering spider.
No.
And you get a hard-on and die.
Yeah.
And as you're dying, you look down at your erection and go, why now?
Yeah, really.
How
come it couldn't have been that hard 15 years ago?
Why now?
When I needed it.
Yeah. Now, Josh, what battlefield did you go to? He visits battlefields. Where did you go, Josh? Which was the one you went to last week?
We went to a couple, but the big one that we visited last week was Shiloh.
Mm-hmm.
In southern Tennessee.
How do they maintain these things? They maintain them like they still existed as a battlefield, or are they just sit there and everybody goes, this is where it took place?
No, it depends. Most of them are pretty well preserved, the ones that you can still visit. A lot of them are done by the National Park Service. So the National Park Service doesn't just have national parks. So, the Department of the Interior and then the National Park Service under its purview maintains national parks, national historic sites, national battlefields, national military parks, national recreation areas, and several other designations. So
all battles? like World War One, Civil War, all that kind of stuff?
Well, only anything within the borders of the U.S. or its territories. But so most of them are preserved. Many of them are preserved by the Park Service. A lot of them are preserved privately. Some of them by state governments, but a lot of them are private. So there's an organization called the American Battlefield Trust, which originally began as the Civil War Trust, but now it calls itself the American Battlefield Trust because they also preserve American Revolution sites and War of 1812 sites. They raise money and they buy up land and they preserve the land. They do everything they can to put it back to the way that it was at the time of the battle. So they erect fencing of the time. Or,
okay.
keep
So they make it
foliage the
look.
way it would have been.
They make it look like it would have been back then.
They do everything they can to do so.
Minus the dead bodies and things like that, right?
Right.
Which of the Civil War battles was the most deadly?
Well,
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg was the largest. And,
Shiloh.
It was the largest and everything. So, like Antietam, had about 23,000 casualties or so in like a 12-hour period. So Antietam was, the deadliest battle at the time. Shiloh at the time that it happened in 1862 was the deadliest battle to have occurred at that period, and it surpassed all previous casualties for all wars in America before it. So the casualties on a single day at Shiloh, well, actually over 2 days, surpassed all casualties from the American Revolution, the Mexican War, the War of 1812, all of them combined. I mean, more people died in a day and a half, basically, at Shiloh than it died in all other previous wars combined. So at the time it took place, it was, it was a huge deal. But they're maintained by the Park Service. I mean, usually what they do is, once they have the land, they usually put a road through that you can take, self-guided auto tours or walk, or the really large parks like Gettysburg have, because it would be so busy, they will have a tour that you can take that's basically on like a bus, to reduce traffic.
Right.
And then a licensed guide will narrate a tour as you go or whatever. But the smaller ones usually just have, or not necessarily smaller in terms of land, but like smaller in terms of visitation will have.
This has kind of been like a hobby with you, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, a little bit, yeah. But we also go to all the sites that are run by the National Park Service.
Okay.
So, I mean, the Park Service runs maybe, I don't know, I think I read like 600 or so. And, I mean, we're kind of on a quest to go to all of them, So, I mean, we're fairly far along. I've been to a lot. So we also visit all the national parks.
Well, I remember when I went to, I think it was Bryce Canyon that I went to.
Yeah, we went to Bryce last year in Zion.
Zion was where I went.
Yeah.
When I went in, they said, "How old are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm 65." And they said, "Oh, good. You can buy. Here's a pass. You can get into any park in the country with it." And I didn't even have to pay for it.
I got one of those.
Yeah. And you can get into any park in the United States.
You have to be 65 to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
fuck
got
you.
one with my handicap placard.
I missed it.
You can use your handicap placard?
Yeah, they gave me a one for the state of California, all the parks here, and the one for the all the parks, national parks.
Wow.
So not 65.
And this was something that Trump tried to kill. He tried to.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Kill oil. They wanted to sell off oil rights to. What was that place in Utah, Big Bear or something like that?
Yeah.
Bear.
Well, he also wanted to take one and cut it in half and use half of it for something, I don't know, condos or whatever, and the other half would still remain a national park.
Well, speaking of Trump killing people, do you know that he found prisoners executed more than any other president in the United States?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You mean the people who were in federal prison who were
federal
sentenced to
prison and on death row, he actually conducted, and the last one was 2 days before the inauguration.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Well, do you expect any less?
Pro-life. He's pro-life.
Do you
Now,
expect?
did you hear? Did you hear that Virginia has now done away with the death penalty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Virginia has the history of executing more people than any other state in the country, and they did away.
It wasn't Texas, because Texas.
I thought it was Texas.
No. Virginia has been executing people since 1608.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the last.
No, I
since
mean total.
1900, Texas has killed more people.
But
Oh,
total people executed, Virginia led the way, and now they have totally done away with the death penalty.
I think I remember one week in Texas where they had like 6 executions or something in 1 week.
They used a couch. It wasn't a chair, it was a couch.
You would know what they did is they decided to put an electric chair and have people sit on each other's laps. You know, I mean, I didn't know that about Trump, but I know that he had let all the executions go on that were going on in
we had
federal
gone like
prisons.
17 years without a federal execution before Trump started doing it.
Wow, son of a bitch. Yeah.
Did anybody ever see that documentary about? I think it was called Doctor Death, about the dude who was like the expert on the electric chair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, fascinating. Did you see
Well,
that?
he was the guy who built them. He
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
was the go-to guy for building them, and
Now
then
he lives in Austin, Texas.
No, then he went to.
Then he got sucked in. He got sucked into that neo-Nazi or that
Right.
Holocaust denier guy.
And he went to Germany and said nobody could have been killed in these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were, you know, it had to be a lie because nobody could have been killed in this
I
manner.
would have
And
found traces of cyanide, but I didn't. What a fucking idiot!
he went looking for traces of
Yeah.
Zyklon D, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But and I can't remember his name now, but he was the guy that built all the implements of death in America.
Wow.
You know.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think
real
every
Dr.
electric
Doom.
chair,
that's for sure.
had like his a placard on the side with the name of his company. You know, so
Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
that's what they referred to him as before Charlie Wallace, of course, came along. And then, by the way,
Charlie was Dr. Death.
I think I've been calling him Dr. Doom lately, because
okay.
because I was
That's why I made that up.
yeah, because at Marvel, for a Marvel show at Carnegie Hall, I was Dr. Doom. So I was Dr. Doom before Charlie was Dr. Doom. And speaking of which, do your job tonight, Charlie.
I'm telling you, the infections are going up. We had 79,000 new infections today and 1,700 deaths.
79,000 new infections, or
Yep.
just
The
infection?
US,
Wait a
the
minute,
whole US.
wait a
It's
minute, wait a
went
minute.
down below 50,000, and now it's gone up
To
60, 70, 80,000.
No,
Most of them are
when
young
you say
people, too.
79,000, that's a total number. That's not 79,000 more than yesterday.
Yes, that's 79,000 more than yesterday.
Oh, really?
The total is almost 550,000. It's
Well, you know, it's
548,000.
all those kids down in Fort Lauderdale. Good for them.
Yeah.
You know. By the way, you
most
know,
most of the new infections are in the people in their 30s and 40s.
yes,
You know why?
and in Chicago, I believe.
Because they're not vaccinated yet.
Yeah, but in Chicago, no, what you saying they're not vaccinated yet, but they just weren't getting it anyway. And now they are getting it because I think this new form of, you know, the hybrids of the
Yeah.
disease are starting to kill them off. So, you know, I'm just amazed that they don't say to themselves, you know, if I get it, that's not bad. I won't die. But wait a minute, if I go home and grandma is next to me, she will. You know, and they're so selfish and so unknowledgeable, you know.
Yeah.
And I have a right not to wear a mask. Yeah, you have a right to wear a mask. I guess that gives me the right to pull out a gun and shoot you, because that's what you're doing. You're aiming a gun at my head. How's everything out where you live, Vernon? Is it crazy?
Actually,
You're in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, the new infections have gone way down, and our positivity rate has dropped below 5 again.
Oh, really? Did you see your Senator Rand Paul going after Dr. Fauci?
Yeah, that was a hilarious.
But wasn't it embarrassing? I mean, if
Yes,
I
it
were from
was.
Kentucky, I would just want to bury my head in the sand somewhere.
Isn't Rand Paul a medical doctor?
Yes,
He's an ophthalmologist.
He's an ophthalmologist. And
I think the American Medical Association should take his license.
no, and
He's an uncertified ophthalmologist.
what do you mean
Well,
uncertified?
No, he did not join the association that most
No.
ophthalmologists joined. He formed his own.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Are we?
the Blind Ophthalmologist Association.
Oh boy!
But
Yeah.
yes, he is an embarrassment, and he's up for re-election in 2022.
And you think he'll win?
In the state of Kentucky, yeah.
What is
Probably.
what is
John Cornyn won.
you know?
Vernon, we're expecting you to make sure he doesn't win.
I can't believe that intelligence goes by state. Okay, I refuse to believe that. And I refuse to believe that people in Kentucky are so stupid that they've got not only made their mistake once, they made it twice because what? Mitch McConnell's from there?
Yep.
Okay. So you got Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, the only two senators, and both of them are the most terrible people in the Senate right now.
Okay.
Most hated. Mitch McConnell is the most hated.
So
in the Senate.
where does the
I wonder
stupidity
how that happened.
where does the stupidity come from? Is there something in the water down there?
Explain to me what's happening in Georgia then.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well-
exactly. What's happening in Georgia is even worse.
Jim Crow is back.
Well,
Well, you know, as Stacey Abrams said, this is like Jim Crow with a suit and tie.
Absolutely.
This wouldn't be happening right now if Trump had won in Georgia. But the fact that he didn't win in Georgia, they're trying to create a situation in which nobody other than a Republican can win in that state. You know.
He won in Texas, and
crap
Texas
that's
is doing
happening
the
right
same
now is
shit.
disgusting.
Who won
We're
in
in 2021. You racist people, get some new brain parts. Jesus.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean,
All they had to do is put that signing yesterday in black and white, and it would have just looked just like the '60s.
Yeah.
Yep. It's terrible. It's
Well,
horrible.
Tennessee, the state of Tennessee just passed a law that would give the father the right to veto a woman's abortion, whether or not it was rape or incest, too. So, in other words, you know, basically,
They're proposing that law. I don't think it's passed yet.
it hasn't passed yet. Oh, okay. I thought it already passed.
Yeah.
Just in proposal, yeah.
Wait.
So basically, you
Oh.
rape somebody, and
Marco.
you knock her up and said, "Hey, I want the kid." I mean, now you're gonna have the kid. Can you believe that?
Wait a
Even
minute.
if I'm in jail, I raped you. I'm in jail, but you got to have the kid,
Oh, boy.
and you
Now,
got to keep the kid and take care of it.
hold on a second. We have two people with guitars. Are you holding a guitar now, John?
I got a guitar, yeah.
Oh no, I thought you were holding it. It looked like
shit.
you were holding it. Oh God.
Oh,
Did
shit.
he have a
Oh,
ukulele last
He
time?
was getting his peacock out.
Wait a minute. Okay, so try and play something. I want to see if you can play.
Oh man, take a look. No, I don't want to. I'm too embarrassed.
Wait a minute. No, go ahead.
Oh, that sounded okay.
Come on, you got off to a good start.
Yeah, not bad.
You know.
Oh man, take a look at my life. So I know.
I think you better stop.
I'm gonna turn
Yeah,
my chair.
yeah. I think.
Sometimes I'll go down on the BART station, late at night, and people will give me money, but I think they're giving me money.
Wait a minute. You
tell
go
me to
down on the
stop
BART station?
Yeah, just by myself.
Is that a new thing in San Francisco?
Going down on the BART station?
Going down on the
I
BART
practice.
station?
Yeah, you go down into the BART station and you practice, and people give you
into
money
it.
sometimes.
Oh, I see.
I thought it was a new sexual thing.
I think they would give you a lot of money to stop.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Now, and then we've got Trucker Steve here, who just bought a guitar and has no idea how to play it. Have you learned how to tune it yet, Trucker Steve? No. So you have an out of tune.
I had a
Basically,
couple of friends back home that play guitar, so I'm gonna take it to them and they can show me how to use the fingers and stuff.
you actually probably should
Lessons.
learn first of all how to tune it. Because if it's not tuned, it's useless.
You think
know?
him
Not
and
as
John ought to
easy
get
as it
together?
looks.
over the weekend and come up with a heavy metal song.
Well, yeah. Well,
I already bought a second guitar this morning.
You bought a
bought
second. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Yeah.
An Eddie Van Halen 5150 Frankenstrat guitar.
Okay, but let me ask you this: you haven't learned how to play the first one yet. So what possessed you to buy a second one?
It's an investment.
Huh?
This one right here.
Oh, okay.
But it's a male thing. You go shopping, you get a screwdriver. You got a dozen of the same screwdriver at home.
Yeah.
Right
Eddie's
on.
famous red, black, and white striped guitar.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll go out and buy one too. I can just sit
There you
here.
go. You know how to play one, Alex?
No.
Oh.
No. I came from a musical family. My father was a musician. My aunt, my uncle, everybody, the whole family. On my father's side were musicians.
They got great lessons on YouTube. This is a bass.
Oh yeah. Okay.
There you go, Jeff.
I know, but I never learned how to play that kind.
But Alex, did you know any instrument?
Any instrument? My father, because my whole family were musicians. I do have a musical sense. I do have fairly good perfect pitch, okay, and I can, I'm musical, but I don't play an instrument. And my father tried to get me to play instruments, and first he taught me the violin because that's what he played, and I failed miserably at that. In fact, they got me a baby violin when I was a little kid, hoping that would help, but I didn't. And I didn't like the violin because I was lazy and I didn't want to hold it here, It was like, I held it. In fact, it's interesting. I know how to hold a violin because I have a guy here who lives in this apartment house who sells them and has 3 Stradivarii in his house. And he brought them out and showed them to me. And I said, can I put one under my chin? And I put it under my chin. He said, you sure know how to hold a violin. And I told him about my father. And that if my father were alive right now, I'd be on the phone to him saying, guess what I've got under my chin right now?
Yeah.
And it was literally the one that I had under my chin is worth $6 million.
Oh, God. I'd be scared to be near it.
It was $6 million? Really?
$6 million. Budget? Yeah. He had a cheaper one there I could have bought for $3 million. Yeah. I mean, it's quite a thing. Okay,
It's an old jazz guitar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I felt so great holding a Stradivarius. Hey, listen, guys, that's it for the show tonight. Wish there were a woman in here. Whatever happened to what's her name? Well, if I remembered her name, she might want to call.
Charlene?
Charlene, yeah.
Charlene, yeah. I don't know what happened to her. Anyway. Hey, listen. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Brian, thank you. Vernon, always a pleasure to see you here. Charlie, if you weren't here, it wouldn't be a show. And I hope that Trucker Steve learns how to play that guitar and can come back here and run rings around John Larkin. Josh Wheeler, thank you so much. And, of course, Alan, always good to have you here. Kevin, my old pal, love having you here. And, of course, John Larkin, our friend in the worst part of San Francisco, the Tenderloin. Hey,
right in the heart.
Right in the heart. Right in the heart. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a wave goodbye back at you, okay? And that's it. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me get rid of them all here so that they can go on their merry way and remind you that next, over most of this same GabNet, is a little program called The Intersection with Jack Bishop. And he'll be taking your calls on Skype at GabNet Live. That's the place you sign into. In the meantime, I'm out of here. I'm out of here till Monday at 4 when I meet up with a bunch of people and do a little show on Facebook. And then we'll be back here again come Tuesday night, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, If you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, wear a mask out there and be safe. Good night.